control is being handled.
Or what do you think?
Population control is being handled. It's being handled by every single country on the planet for the most part. And each country has, I'm sure, made agreements to, like backdoor agreements to how many of their citizens they're going to whack every year, how many are going to survive, and how many are going to whatnot. Human population is a major problem on the planet. It's the number one problem the planet is facing, is human population as a whole. But what they're not telling us is human population is actually going to decline. Human population is going to cap off at about 10 billion people, roughly.
Okay.
And then it's going
like
to...
6 or 8?
We're at probably 8.5, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere. But so we're going to hit something about like 10 billion people on the planet. And then the death rate is gonna oversee the birth rate. So we're gonna have more people fucking dying than more people fucking living, right? We're actually gonna hit some type of a crisis, an economic crisis and a birth rate crisis. Like I think Japan has already hit that crisis where the new generation is not able to take care of the old. We have this in America because of the baby boomers, right? Baby boomers had way too many kids. The newer generations didn't have as many kids. Now we're having a hard time sustaining welfare and retirement and all these things with the older generation. Now, this is a small problem in America right now. Could you imagine if we completely flipped where you had like 10 people dying for every one person being born?
Is that where it's going?
That's where it's gonna go. It's gonna get there. So if you're Chevy and you're trying to sell the bottom line, which is make a profit, right? If you're trying to sell 100,000 Chevys again this year, like you did last year, no, this year it's gonna be, 900,000. Then it's gonna be 90,000, and then it's gonna be 80,000, and then 70, 60, 50, and then like what the fuck do you do as Chevy? You're gonna close up shop, or you're gonna make like, who the fuck knows? That's gonna be the problem across the board, no matter what. So population control is very important. We might actually hit a point, and we might jump into like what Hitler did with the Nazis, where they like controlled the youth, right? Stuck them in like the youth camps and shit, and taught them like, you as a boy, you're like a fucking warrior, and you as a girl, you're a reproductive fucking machine, and now go out there and make some super babies, blonde hair, blue-eyed, little killing machines and whatnot,
Yeah.
We might hit that. I'm telling you, people should Google, I think Japan, if I'm not mistaken. Their whole system kind of flipped up on its head. None of the boys want to leave their house and fuck girls. Like, they're stuck at home watching porno, jerking off the manga, and...
So they're helping our population decrease?
No, they're helping their population decrease by accident, which is causing their economy to crash. Their economy is crashing, and if the economy crashes, people starve, and they starve to death. There's a difference between, you have to have a controlled reduction in population. You can't have an instant, like, it's like human beings wiping out an entire forest overnight for wood. It's not okay to just suddenly whack the whole fucking ecosystem. You can do it slowly, so it could bounce back, but you can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding it?
What about like wars and bombs and all like those kinds of things?
Well, wars have a big part to do with it. So like I was saying earlier to you, the number one disposable thing on the planet, the number one disposable thing, it's not timber, it's not fucking soil, it's not grapes, it's a male human being, all right? It's a male human, ages 16 to fucking 24, okay? you're undereducated, you're undertrained, you're underworking, you're under fucking everything except you're horny as fuck and you want to fuck everything that moves. Okay? You have nothing going for you, but you want to do everything that achieved people are doing. So what we do with these motherfuckers is we stick them in the military. In the United States, it's a choice to go to the military. Everywhere else in the country, 18, you're taking your ass to the army. All right? And we're gonna educate you. We're gonna train you to put a higher value on you, or we're gonna whack you.
Okay.
There's no in between. You're gonna go get educated and come back a grown man, or you're gonna die out there. You little motherfucker. You waste of you waste you dispensable waste of space. You. All right. That's why we go and we blow shit up in all kinds of places. Because males are disposable. It is what it is.
So how long until we cap off?
How long until we cap off?
Or is it just going to be like...
It's a hard
right
thing
now,
to say.
I Googled it. We're at 7.1 million people.
Okay, 7.1 billion people. We had a spike, right, where we went from like 5 to 7 really fast.
In 1800, it was...
Whatever the fuck it was. But we had a spike from 5 billion to like 6.5 billion. It was like a fucking mountain just skyrocketing. And then technology kicked in around the world. Technology trickled down to every other nation. Cell phones, computers, all these things. Suddenly people became viable. People got educated. People were... Now you have a job. You're not fucking as much. Now, even though you do have a job and you can fuck, now you don't want to have 12 kids. You gotta feed these 12 bastards and shit. So, suddenly, technology in itself, like, each country, its population suddenly, like, it became, what's the word for it, where it, like, kind of evens out and shit. Dude, either stick that nose in or I'm gonna hit it.
I don't just leveled out.
Yeah, it leveled out, right?
Yeah.
It leveled out. So, it was rising, and then leveled out. It's gonna it's gonna drop. It's gonna start off with a subtle drop, just like a rose, and then it's gonna plummet all of a sudden. That plummet is dangerous. And what's weird is it reminds me of what are those stones where it talks about like how many people should be on the planet? Where they're like the perfect amount of people is like 500 million people, and we need to live within sync with nature and all that. It's something with stones. It's like the Missouri guide stones or something.
I've never heard of
something guide stones, dude. People trip out and they're like the Illuminati and blah blah fucking blah. It's not the Illuminati. It's the course human nature is taking. Like we're gonna spike down and have a major problem. Now, regardless of what anyone thinks, people are essentially slaves. This is a giant plantation. People are like slaves. Okay? The only way to have truly freed people is to have enslaved people. I was telling you about that. Remember?
Yeah.
So how do I free the masses? Because all people, all men are not created fucking equal. So how do we bring equality to this unequal existence? We enslave them. We tell them they're free. We give them equal rights, equal capabilities, right? So essentially everyone became slaves and then they got equal rights. You have the right to speak your mind, your First Amendment. You have a right to bear arms. You have a right to this, to that. If I was free, you don't have to give me my fucking rights, all right? You don't tell me when I can take my gun out. You don't tell me when I can say something and can't say something. I'm a free fucking man, right? Like, who the fuck are you to tell me I could or I can't? It's a born right. Like, I have born natural rights. Like, just like I was born, I have the right to fucking kill myself if I want to. And there's no one that can say anything against it. It's my born right to die. And if I want to choose when that happens, I choose when it happens. Right? So, I mean, that's a little extreme, but it's
They
still.
just actually, there's laws now that they're trying to pass so that people.
Yeah, but
people,
laws
like,
to
fought
what?
for their
Yeah,
right
but they could
to
go
kill
fuck
themselves when they
right,
wanted
but those
to.
are like
Those are
bitchy.
medical patients.
Right, those are medical patients and shit. I'm talking about the average, healthy, walking, talking human can go and fucking hang himself at any given fucking time, and who are you to say otherwise, right? Blow his head off, hopefully he doesn't miss. You know? So people are slaves on this giant plantation. They've been told they're free, so they never looked for the chains that held them down. To that they're really not free. They're freed slaves in a sense, or they're free to move around. They're free to think and move, right? Now, it goes to corporations as well. Like, we hold corporations liable. We're not able to turn corporations into people, so we, in essence, turn people into corporations. I don't know why I got into this topic. So we turn people into corporations so we can hold one liable just like the other. So if Apple decides to dump fucking nuclear waste in the ocean, we need to be able to have someone liable. The corporation being one, the CEO being two, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the boat and the captain and shit.
Right.
Now, this means that there's a value to you as the person, as a corporation and whatnot. And that value comes from your citizenship. If you're A-class citizen worthy, if you're B-class, C-class. When we talk about first world, second world, third world countries, fourth world countries, fourth world citizen is not equal to a first world citizen. Not by dollar value, at least.
Right. Well, yeah.
And the reason why is when America goes and asks money from China, World Bank, whether it be the fucking Rothschilds or whoever the fuck's Childs, right? And they're like, I want to borrow money. The first question they're going to ask them is, what collateral do you have? America's going to say, well, I have 300 million American citizens worth this much. What do you mean worth this much? Well, here, I'll tell you how he's worth this much. He goes to school until 18 years old, which means he's taken care of by family or the state. And then he goes to college, which raises his value, right?
Right.
Graduates college. Now he has a 40 years in the workforce. 40 years he's bringing in mad money. Money is taxed. And taxation is like the wave that takes money, brings money, takes money, brings money. So you tax the people, and then you spend it on the people, whether it's through bombs, whatever. Somehow it has to get spent to come back to the people.
It should.
Right? It's like the game of Monopoly, except you need to have a taxation system so the game becomes never-ending. So taxation is like the heart that keeps the old game of Monopoly alive and continuous. If you ever played Monopoly, at the end of it, if you ever got to the end of it, well,
Has
one
anybody ever
person,
got to the end of it?
no, because everyone kicks the board over.
Yeah.
But the end of Monopoly is one person owns the bank, owns the board, owns all the pieces, owns the entire fucking thing, and you can't even rent, right? That's why it's called Monopoly. So when you introduce taxation into it, you can make it a never-ending game. Now, you graduated college, which gave you a certain dollar value to you. Now you're in the workforce making a certain amount of money that's taxable. And then you hit retirement. 10 years of retirement, 15 years of retirement on average, right? You add all those up, and you as a citizen, you're worth this many millions of dollars. Now you break that up into categories. You have the upper class. And then you have the upper middle class, and then you have the upper lower class. And then you have the upper middle class, you have the middle class, and then the lower middle class. You have the upper lower class, the middle lower class, and then the lower class. This is the reason why we have the problems we have in America. Like the gangs and the drugs and the big prison system and everything. Is because if you can wipe out some of the lower bracket, it's not a race thing. It's an economical thing, all right? Because you having the $0 in your pocket or having $1 trillion in your pocket can give a fuck less about what color your skin is, who you pray to, All right,
Right.
who you fuck, who you. It's strictly about did you have the money or did you not,
Yeah.
right? So if we can wipe out or make a system where the lower class kills themselves off, the average value of our citizen will skyrocket. So
Makes
let's
sense.
introduce to them guns and drugs and gangs, all right? And at the same time, we'll introduce rehabilitation centers. We'll introduce prison systems. This will also feed the police state, right? That's why all our police have brand new cars, brand new guns, brand new toys and tools. Yeah, you know, they have entire jail systems. Because if you can also remove this lower class person and put them on ice in a prison, then I'm sure you can find a loophole not to throw him in how much your average citizen is worth because he's on ice. You get what I'm
Is he
saying?
gonna get out eventually?
Yeah, he'll get out eventually and get his shit together. If not, we'll throw him back in the box again.
Yeah.
Okay? So there's a reason why gangs are so prevalent across America, why gun deaths are fucking crazy in places in the ghettos. I don't care what ghetto you go to, it's crazy. And a lot of people don't realize like those guns are brought in, not accident, they're actually brought in. Who the fuck brings in these guns?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? We have a Second Amendment right. You can go and buy a gun legally. But how come there's this large amount of illegal guns, illegal drugs? Where the fuck is heroin coming from? Where's coke coming from? You get what on a mass scale? Where is fucking, like in California? Remember marijuana used to come from Mexico?
Yeah. Oh my
You remember
God,
that brick pack shit?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
that brick pack shit used to come in like.
Because
It
then when
used
the
to,
good stuff started coming, you're like, oh, this was like the Mexican
That good
shit.
stuff
You
was
could
the stuff
tell
that
whenever
grew
it was,
here,
like, good
right?
Stuff
Yeah.
or the Mexican shit.
Because it was actually a brick. You would have to snap it,
Yeah.
and then you had sticks and stems
stems.
stems holding it together, and it was old, and it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, right?
Not the right color.
So suddenly California was like, fuck that. We're the purchasers of this commodity, legal or not. Legality has nothing to do with the commodity. If it's worth something, if it's worth an economy, it's worth $1, it's worth a job, it doesn't give a fuck if it's legal or not. So why are we, as the consumers over here in California, going to allow Mexico to control our consumption, use, and trade of this commodity? So suddenly we decide, now fuck that brick pack shit. We're gonna pass certain laws and we're gonna put marijuana in the gray zone, and suddenly we're gonna do indoor growing within the states. And then we're gonna tax it, right? Look where we're at now. I knew it when it was happening. Look at it now. Marijuana doesn't come from nowhere. It grows here.
Yeah.
And then we tax the shit out of it, not to mention the electricity you used, the house you bought to grow it, you know, all the fucking chemicals, the shop set up with employees to sell it, the person that went to work to buy it. We set up an entire legal
whole
economy
setting, yeah.
with marijuana now. You get what I'm saying? So there's a dollar value to everything. People need to look at everything in terms of a business. Everything is a fucking business. Time is a business. Energy is a business. What you do with your time and energy and what you create with it is all a business. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can choose to waste it, or you can choose to create something and make $1. You know?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Because we got like a minute. So.